CEO of Fujitsu has finally apologised for the treatment of victims of the post office scandal, saying he's sorry for the damage done to hundreds of sub-postmasters' lives.
This follows the shocking admission by the Post Office current chief executive, Nick Reid, who yesterday told MPs it is possible that some of the money which vanished from the accounts of branch managers could have ended up in the hefty remuneration packages of executives.
Is it a possibility that the monies that the Sub-postmasters paid ended up in the coffers of the post office, and then as part of the profits the monies were then paid to dividend holders, and indeed could have been part of hefty remuneration packages for the post office executive?
It's difficult to say. I mean, as I say,
why is it difficult?
This is pre-2015. I don't have the context of what the.
But is it possible?
It's possible. Of course, it's possible. Absolutely, it's possible.
We're still joined in the studio by the Sun's political columnist Trevor Kavanagh to discuss this and more of the day's leading stories. But Trevor, that was a shocking moment. First of all, Nick Reid, he said, that happened before 2015. I suggest, Nick, that you appraise yourself of what went on before 2015. It's not a good idea to come before Parliament and not really know what you're talking about when it comes to the greatest scandal in British legal history. But that's a side issue. What he admitted there, Trevor, was that this money paid back by sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses...
Paid, not paid back.
Well,
actually,
yeah. I wrote this
place.
morning. I said paid quotes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Paid to the post office. The money that they didn't steal. Many of them put themselves into impossible debt. They sold houses, cars, borrowed money to pay this money back. And now the post office doesn't know where it is. And yesterday, the chief executive, Nick Reid, admitted that some of that money may have been divided among executives for bonuses. It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, it just gets worse and worse, doesn't it? Or better and better if you're one of the sub-postmasters and mistresses. Yeah. What is so astonishing to me is to see Fujitsu actually kowtowing and admitting that they actually knew from the very outset that there were bugs in this system, that it could be intercepted and interdicted, so to speak, by people in Fujitsu and tampered with without the knowledge of the sub-postmaster, which was denied right up to the very last, in fact, until Fujitsu itself has now come clean. And it seems that on every single front, the sub-postmasters and Mr. Bates himself have been vindicated on every allegation, on every appalling attempt to steal money off them, which is what it is. It's blatant theft and fraud. And really, as I think ministers are beginning to see, someone from the post office has to end up in the dock on this, and more than one person.
Not more than one,
absolutely. Yeah. And Nick Wallace, who, as you know, has been presenting programmes on this channel, he, so far as I can work out, is the only person who's managed to get a scalp, because he managed on TalkTV last week to find some hidden recordings of Richard Taylor, who was the current Director of Communications for the Post Office, saying in a conversation that basically all these sub-postmasters were guilty as hell, that they'd done a pretty good job. So he has now been suspended pending a full inquiry. And I think I'm right in saying that is the only person to have lost their jobs or been sacked in the course of this entire scandal. It's outrageous.
And isn't it a tribute to the freedom of the press?
Yeah.
And to broadcasting? The media generally has been able to put a spotlight on this that nobody else has done or even attempted to do. This now opens the gates for a whole range of other issues, doesn't it? Because with the success of this particular drama, the four-part drama, we will see copycat-type documentaries dramatised on a whole range of things, I suspect, and there are plenty of them to dip into.
Well, that is exactly what the victims of the infected blood scandal have been saying. They've been saying, and you can completely understand their point of view, when are we going to get this
30
level?
years.
When are we going to get this level of national outrage for all the hundreds of people who died as a result of being
2,400
given infected
2,400 have died due to getting infected blood. I said last week as a sort of joke, which other national scandals should we turn into TV dramas in order to get the government to bloody well do something? I said, how about the infected blood scandal? This goes back to 1970, and in the 1990s, infected blood and blood products infected people with AIDS, basically, and hepatitis. 2,400 have died, and 26,000 became severely ill. And the campaigners for this, we're going to focus on this story later, they say basically the authorities are waiting for us to die so they don't have to give us any money.
Yes, I think that's been blatantly the case, and I think that difficult though it is to imagine, this is worse than the post office strike because lives have been lost and are still being lost. And I think it has been, in fact, the Treasury or the government or whatever it is, and not just this government, but the administrations for the last 30 years. Let this take on as long as possible, let it drag on, and people will die off or finally get to the point where we only have to pay them a few thousand.
Yeah, Penny Mordaunt, who says it's her hobby.
It's callous and brutal and cruel.
It is. Penny Mordaunt, who says this is her hobby horse, said, we won't need a TV drama to do something about this. Well, Penny, 33 years on, maybe you do need a TV drama.
The inquiry was launched, there was a group action launched in 2017. Inquiry began 2018, and they're saying that they were meant to have reported in the autumn of last year. But